Good morning, good morning, good morning. Y'all in here? Y'all in here? Y'all in here? Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Hope all is well. Hope everybody is doing fantastic. Hope everybody is doing well. Good morning, good morning. All right. I see y'all. What's up, ma? Oh, wow, that's what's up. hmm All right, I'm live. I'm live. All right. All right, y'all. I want to talk. Good morning. Good morning, love. Good morning. Good morning. Y'all done got me pumped with these good mornings already. Um, Make sure y'all comment, like, share, tell somebody we own, and we about to get right to it. Um, I usually have my notes in the platform already, but I don't. I don't have them in there, so I'm gonna have to just give it to you from my phone. But what I wanted to talk to you about this morning is your attitude. The old saying my coach first heard it from one of my coaches. But what he was talking about is attitude determines altitude. Attitude determines altitude. And it is so important that we understand this so that we don't be on the other end. Excuse, I'm trying to ride it out. Because this is what we're talking about. So attitude determines altitude. How is your attitude affecting your progress? How is it affecting where you're going? How is it affecting what you're doing? You can have all the skills in the world, you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't have the right attitude, it's going to ultimately stop you from going where you need to go. Um, and it's important that we realize this because if we're on the track, if we're on the road to growing, getting better, doing better, um, trying to progress, trying to get to the next level, we must not assume that we can just go about it having any kind of attitude. Um, and sometimes we allow situations and what we've gone through to shift that attitude. And I want to say instead of allowing what you've gone through or what you've experienced to shift your attitude and to have you bitter, um, bitter is kind of like the low hanging fruit. Anybody can take bitter um, if they've been in some traumatic situations. Anybody can take the fruit of bitterness if they've been wronged and continued to be wronged. Um, Anybody can take that. The high hanging fruit, the high fruit that we must grab is to become better. Only reason why you resort to bitter is because you haven't learned to become better. Because when you become better, you make better decisions. You choose better options and things of that sort. So it doesn't have you repeating that same kind of feeling of being wrong. And so that's where your attitude shifts instead of it becoming to important because sometimes those little moods that we get in as a result of being in bad situations or in a situation that we thought shouldn't we didn't deserve, um, those moods be prolonged, and that prolonged mood changes. It changes just from a mood to attitude. It changes from a just a mood, a temporary thing, to now it becomes a part of your disposition. It becomes a part of your who you are, and that is when it stings. That is when it stinks, because now everybody else has to get the version of you that is has been manipulated because of the situations you've been in, and that's not fair to anybody, especially those who have nothing to do with the reason why you feel that way. And this is why we got to check our attitude through the door. We can't just afford to just keep going with that same model, that same attitude, where it's like, this is who I am. That's who you become, and that's only as a result of the situations that you've experienced, and that is only because of the choices you made. And so, if we determine that this is the root cause of it, then all this can be it can be done away with. Calvin, time to go, buddy. It's time. Um, but it can be done away with if we just start making better choices. Start assessing the situation for what it really is, so that we can get out of it what we need to get out of it. This ties directly into what we were talking about yesterday. You gotta make sure that you're doing the right thing. Can you give me a hug, buddy? You need to zip up that coat. But yeah, so it directly ties into that, because if you're not doing the right thing, have a good day, buddy. If you're not doing the right things, um, making the right choices, and you keep getting those results, it ultimately is going to play an effect on your mood and your attitude. So this comes with making those right choices. We can't reflect, we can't. Good morning, Helen. We can't afford to um, keep making those choices, getting those results, and then don't think that that's going to affect our mood. So um, your choices ultimately will affect your mood. And so that attitude is a reflection of the choices you make. Because if you put yourself in a position where you're getting better, you put yourself in a position where you're succeeding, you're getting your goals accomplished, that you're gonna have a great attitude, because you win it. But only when you have lost and continue to lose, or suffer traumatic experience after traumatic experience, um, that begins to take a toll on your attitude. And if that is where you leave it at, then that's going to determine where you go. Attitude determines altitude. Um, that, like I said, bitter is a low-hanging fruit. You can choose to accept that, or you can go for better. You can choose to learn from those previous mistakes, those previous trials, those previous um, situations, and get better. Because your bad attitude not only affects where you go, it affects who you are. And when it becomes a part of who you are, when that mood lingers too long, it changes who you are. Now they say that that's who you are, when in fact that's who you had to be in that situation. This is what I was talking to somebody about, and it's a great point to bring up. That sometimes it's different situation. It calls for us to we've had to morph, and we had to be different because of the situation. And what happens is, because of the situation, you had to morph into this version of you that you didn't really want to be, but it was a protective version of you, so that you can shield yourself from more trauma. Um, but what happens is, after you get out of that situation, you still are that version of you that you had to become. And so that's when we have to really assess who we are, and try to break down where these different attitudes and moods come from. Good morning, Amber. We got to break that down, because if not, those things that we've had to become as a result of the situation we're in, after the situation has subsided or we've gotten out of the situation, if we're still showing up as that, then that situation has shifted us. It's molded us into a version that we are not supposed to be. Every situation you get into, and we're just going to talk about relationships for a moment, every relationship you get in shifts you, it morphs you into a different version of you. And to say that that's who you are now, and you might be removed from that relationship, is allowing that relationship or the trauma to kind of stunt you. It stunts your growth. It stunts who you are because of that trauma that you experience. But after getting out of it, this is why counseling is very important. And most people don't know the value of it because you think you're just sitting on the couch talking to them, somebody telling them no business. But when you don't properly analyze the trauma that you've experienced, it can compound. And now you think it's who you are. And everybody's going around calling you bitter, and everybody's going around saying they just a mean old person. And that's only because you had to be that in that situation. And now that is prolonged. You've had to be it so long, you just accepted this cloak of bitterness. You've accepted this cloak of this hard shell, and you've accepted this cloak uh, of, of this exterior that is not even who you really are. But because you've had to be it so long, it's become who you are. That attitude is not affecting just where you're going, it's affecting who you are. And since you've had to wear it so long, you've just accepted it for yourself. And that causes us to just be weighed down. That's too heavy. That cloak, that weight of that bitterness, and to hold all that and to be that hard and be that I don't want to say reserved, but as a lack of better, for lack of better words, let's just say reserved. But it causes you to be standoffish and push people away. That is heavy. It's hard to carry that all the time, and you've only had to be that because of past situations. But that's not who you are. Let that go. Let that be stripped away from you. You gotta take that off. That does not represent you well. It's not going to put you in the best of situations. It's not going to allow you to blossom and become the person that you need to become, because you have accepted the fact that you had to be this in this season. Um, but it's no longer. So you can do away with that. You can do away. You can get back to you. That's why we talked about that a couple days ago, a week ago. We talked about getting back to you. It's okay to get back to you. Me time is approved, because sometimes, excuse me, sometimes just the mere fact of being in those traumatic situations or situations that pent us in a corner, anybody pent in the corner gonna have to morph. You're either gonna die or you're gonna come out fighting. And most times we're gonna come out fighting just to save faces. That's survival in us. Um, and so we're gonna come out fighting. And so you came out fighting, but you still fighting, and we ain't the person you need to be fighting. So you need to shift that attitude. Your attitude is going to change your trajectory. It's going to determine where you're going to go, and you can rise above it. You can rise above those bad attitudes. You can rise above those experiences. You can rise above it. Don't let it poison you. It might have hurt you. Um, it might have caused you trauma in some kind of way, but don't let it poison you to the fact that you got to stay there. Don't stay there. Attitude determines altitude, so you got to make sure that you got the right attitude. Start your morning with the right attitude. Don't be going in it with just, this is who I am. I remember I like the fact that you think you know who you are. I like that fact, but is it who you are as a result of what you've been through? If that's the case, then we need to assess what can stay and what needs to go. And most times, those situations that we have allowed to continually be around us will shift us in a way. Um, and I've been there. I've been there. I had siblings come up to me and tell me, "I don't like you like that. You mean, you short fuse and these things. Good morning, Bree. All these things because of these other situations, and you let them bleed over into other situations, and that just paralyzes other relationships because of these bad traumas that you experience. But you gotta assess it, really analyze what have you allowed yourself to morph into as a result of the situations that you've been in, and is that morphing going to provide you success moving forward? And if it's not, you gotta drop off that. It doesn't do you any good. I know you know you've had situations where you've trusted people, and they just misuse your trust and abuse your trust, and was disloyal to you and things of that sort. But you don't have to have that hard exterior. Just keep your eyes open the next time. You don't have to go in it with this mean disposition and demeanor. Just keep your eyes open. In direct correlation with yesterday, just keep your eyes open. See the situation for what it is. Be an identifier. See the fruit. See people fruit before you get your heart all involved. See the fruit. Check out the fruit. Make sure that it's something that you can sustain in and grow in. Make sure that it's something that you can prosper from. You don't have to just be hard and have these attitudes and this bitterness and this rough exterior as a form, because what it is just kind of like a protection. It becomes a protection for you, so you think. But what you're protecting yourself from is good situations, because everybody ain't gonna be able to deal with that bad attitude. Everybody ain't gonna be able to just accept you for you, because they know that's a result of the bad attitude you were in. Your family can, because they know you before the bad attitude, or they know you before the bitterness. But everybody ain't gonna know you like that. So it's important that you have the right attitude and not just be paralyzed by that traumatization. Don't be paralyzed by it. Don't be wounded by it. It did hurt. It did sting, but you don't have to accept it as who you are. And that's the thing about it, is we begin to accept it as who we are because it had to be it so long. You don't even know that you're wearing that. Some people don't even know that they're wearing that cloak of bitterness because they've had to be bitter so long. They had to. Nope, you ain't gonna do me like that. I ain't gonna let nobody play with me. I'm not gonna let nobody play with me either. I'm not. I refuse. But I don't go with it. I don't have this and gotta have my face all turned up and bent up because I'm trying to protect myself and guard myself and want push off all these other things. I don't have to do that. I just need to identify fruit. I need to see the situation for what it really is. And then after I do that, guess what? I can choose to invest or not invest based on what I've seen. And if you make better choices, you get better outcomes, and then after that, you'll have a better attitude. So it starts with your choices. Make some better choices for your life. Make some better choices for your current situation, and then after you do that, you'll make you'll in turn make the attitude follow. It'll follow that. It'll follow. You can't have one without the other. You completely making bad choices, getting bad results, and bad things happening, and think you can still have a good attitude. It's a contradiction. And so you need to make good choices, better choices, great choices, so you can have great outcomes, and then you can have a great attitude, because that attitude is going to determine where you go. There's people that have had the talent. You look at all these major sports, people that had a talent. One example, and I don't want to speak bad about the brother, but one example is T.O. Uh, played for the Dallas Cowboys. He had just a bad attitude, bad locker room presence, but he had the skill. He has the talent so much that he can even still compete, or think he can still compete at the age he is now, and wants a shot to compete, because he knows that he short circuited his trajectory. He short circuited where he was going because he had a bad attitude, and people just didn't want to deal with him any longer. Had the skill, had the talent, could have possibly made the team in which he would get on better, but because he had a bad attitude, nobody even wanted to deal with him. What is your attitude stopping you from getting? Where is it stopping you from going? What room is it stopping you from sitting at? What table is it stopping you from sitting at? Determine what it is that has affected you and shifted you, so that you can remove it, so your attitude can get better. But I guarantee you, if you start to make better choices, you get better outcomes, and your attitude will follow. I hope this bless y'all. I hope it got you something this morning. If it did, do me a favor. Don't let it stop with you. Share it with somebody else. Tag one person, somebody that you know has been traumatized by an experience that has landed them in a situation where now they have to accept bitterness when they should be accepting or getting better. They've accepted the trauma, and it's caused them to shift who they are. Share with somebody. It's not you talking about them, but you want to see them better. They need to hear this. Let somebody else hear it, because their altitude, their trajectory, where they're going is being short circuited. It's being stunted by this attitude, and they need to know that they can go better. They can go. They can get better. They can do better. But it's gonna start with their attitude, which starts with their decisions. Good morning, bro, and congratulations on the grandbaby. Uh, yeah, yeah. But don't just allow them to just stay there, because they're good people. They just been hurt, and that hurt has been there so long that they don't know what else to be, because they had to be there for so long. In their memory, what happens is our memory holds on to it, and all the things just replay, replay, replay. As soon as they get in a new situation, they the person in the new situation has the face of the person in the old situation, so they treat the new situation like the old. Don't treat your new situation like your old, just because of your attitude or the trauma or the hurt you experienced. Let that go. Make better choices. Keep your eyes wide open. Identify the fruit. Know what you're getting into, so that you know how to invest. And then you'll be better because of it. Like I said, I hope it bless you. Bless somebody else. Share it with a friend. Tag a friend. Share it on your web page. Whatever you got to do, let somebody else hear it, so they can be better too. Have the most amazing morning. Get some things done today. Check some things off, so that you can get better. All right. Y'all have a good one. All right, y'all.